Welcome to Straight from the Muzzle, folks, where we are anything but straight. My name is Space.
And I'm Ruby.
And we welcome you to our episode, which is about what today?
It is LGBTQIA books versus the world are banning books from school libraries.
Now, I chose this particular topic because you yourself are a teacher and your wife is also a teacher. And I want to go ahead and introduce Autumn, which is your wife.
Hello.
The funny
Hello.
part is she's sitting next to me and I immediately just did the ta-da, pointing at her. I'm like, no one can see me.
I did that too. I turned to a monitor that's not there.
Yes.
I wonder how many people actually do that when they're recording episodes, which in general.
If you had a camera on me, that
all the time.
I perform when no one's around.
I've thought about doing that, putting a camera up just so people can see what we look like when we record. Because I move my hands around everywhere. I'm looking in a direction where there's no one. I'm looking in the corner of a room as if I'm talking to someone. It's ridiculous, but I've realized that people do it all the time.
Yes.
Autumn, you yourself are also a teacher. Do you want to go ahead and kind of introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so I am a special education teacher at an arts-focused charter high school. I've done 2 years in elementary, 3 years in middle school, and then this is my third year in high school. So kind of have the whole range with special education.
Nice. And you kind of specialize also, when we were talking before we were recording, with books in general or English books, I think.
Yeah, so I've done literacy instruction in elementary school for those skills. And then I've co-taught English 1, 2, and English 3 at the high school setting for the past 3 years.
Awesome. That's good. Initially I picked Ruby, but then Autumn came in and we were talking and I'm like, you know what? I can hear Autumn perfectly. I think we should bring her on because it'll be another aspect, another point of view. Which literally we all have about the same point of view here. So it's very
I've been suggesting this since the beginning. I'm like, hey, bring me in. Yo.
Because this is a great topic. This is a topic that's been brought up a lot over the years, but more so in the most recent years. And it's almost like every week we hear a new or another school saying that we're going to ban these books. And it's really made me wonder, what are these books that are truly being banned? How many of them are out there? What's the process of bringing a book into the library and so forth? And so I think we have a pretty good show lined up for you guys today. It's not necessarily furry fandom based, but then again, our podcast really is kind of a in between reality and the fandom together. And that's kind of what makes our podcast really diverse and different, but fun to listen to because you bring you all these fun little topics.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I am not well versed in LGBTQ books because I don't read. I mean, I read CNN, I listen to NPR, and I donate to NPR.
The Ulta magazine.
The Ulta magazine that I'm reading. It's really just oh, here's what's in, on sale and stuff. But, if you guys knew how I shop in general, on the weekends, I buy hair color because I'm constantly changing my hair. And then I'm all about beauty stuff. And I'm sure my husband's like, what are you buying now? So I'm a shopaholic.
That's like Ruby. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm usually
Ruby, what do you
can't
shop
enter
for
to
that you
Walmart
shouldn't
alone.
shop for?
Clothes and trading cards. I mean, literally. That's literally my entire shopping spree.
Yeah, and my shopping spree is, it's basically Michael's Arts and Craft, Barnes & Noble on the weekends, Ulta, and then wherever else I decide to go, Five Below or something.
Amazon and TCG Player.
I've never
That's
been to
about it.
TCG Player, but Amazon.
It would shock me more if you had. Because
Magic
it is
cards.
all trading cards, Pokemon, Magic, all those. I would be shocked if you had been on it.
Yeah.
I should have figured that out by just the pure, initials of it. Dang it.
Yes.
So why don't you go ahead and let's get started here. What I wanted to know more or less is, how are books chosen for school libraries? Who wants to go on this one?
When I was working at the middle school, I was really good friends with the media coordinator or media specialist. How she did it is she got the kids involved to see what they were interested in. And then she would pick things that she thought would be interesting for the students, but also diversify our library. And then she made the list, basically the order, and then sent it to the principal. And once the principal approved it, it was purchased.
And is that a general kind of a thing across the board, or is that more or less just kind of what you find depending on where you go?
I think it's more general across the board. So it depends on the county. So larger counties might do it differently, but most of the time it's the principal because the funds are local to the school and how they want to spend it.
And would you say that most principals are pretty strict on what comes into the school and what goes out?
That, again, I think depends on the principal. because
Yeah.
like her
Okay.
current principal, I think, would be a lot more lenient than some of your past ones.
But also, too, she knows our population.
That
like,
too.
we have, oh my gosh, we have at least 10 trans kids in 9th and 10th grade combined, maybe more. You can't find a straight boy in the school.
Let's put it this way. The tagline for this podcast works for her school.
We're anything but straight.
Basically.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, okay, so to kind of fortify that, basically the librarian picks a book that they like, they run it past the principal to make sure it's okay, and then they order the book to come in or books, and then that's in the library. So this has gone through a process.
Of getting it in the library, yeah.
Wait, is the process of getting it into the library as opposed to the process of the books being chosen for the library, are those two different processes?
So the problem is getting it into the system, because you have to tag every book with a code, and then it has to be in the computer with a code, and it's so much work. So basically the easiest part of this is picking the books and buying them.
Right. And then there's that secondary process, which I think is pretty much across the board. Like, no matter what you do, it's like you bring merchandise into your store, but then you have to actually register that merchandise in your store, and that becomes a problem. So what we have here then is we have, librarian saying, I want this book, principal saying, sure, go for it. I order it. Then I got to put it in the system. And then we have people that come up out of nowhere and say, well, I don't want this book in the system. And it goes through a review process. How long does a review process usually last?
That is very dependent on just the book, how loud the person is, again, the district and all that. But it's
board meetings.
It's bureaucratic at its finest, to where sometimes it just never happens. Or someone makes a big enough stink and it's like, oh, you ban it just to keep them quiet and no lawsuits.
Yeah. And it's almost like we kind of all agreed that it's pretty much, what is it? It's either a Karen getting offended or it's religious view.
I think, actually, after thinking about that, I think it falls under two categories. Religion/morals. There's bunny ears around the word.
I hate morals.
And shit that parents just don't want to talk to their kids about.
Yes.
Simple. Right there.
Yeah.
Birds and the Bees is one example right there.
Yeah. Most of the ones that are banned, like especially the ones that are on our topic of being the LGBTQ books, are generally that the parents just don't want to discuss things with their kids.
Yeah. And I do want to side note here that like a middle school has a section for YA and has an elementary section too. Like, they could only check out a book if it was YA once they were like 7th, 8th grade.
Huh.
So there is a limit. Like, we're not letting, like, my middle school is 5th and 6th grade. So we're not letting 5th and 6th graders get their hands on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
so I
good.
don't want to
That's
like
good.
misconstrue. Yeah, so if it's a YA book, 7th and 8th graders are only allowed to check it out. Now, sometimes stuff gets slipped past, but most of the time not.
Interesting.
Yeah, shit happens, but still. You're not having any of these kids check out like 50 Shades of Grey.
Right. Well, it kind of makes me wonder, is 50 Shades of Grey in any school?
I
would hope not.
I actually, if I knew a high school librarian, I totally would love to call them and find out, because all 50 Shades of Grey is essentially fan fiction of Twilight. So if Twilight's allowed in there, then, I mean, it's not that far of a stretch, really.
That's crazy. So from this point forward, then it's just kind of depends on who gets offended, and then that's where the fight comes up.
Mm-hmm.
But this has been in the news for a long time, and it seems like it's more and more based, like they're purposely singling out specific groups. And folks, I hate to say it, but a lot of it's LGBTQ, and a lot of it is racism as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really unfortunate. And so why don't you talk about this whole fact that LGBTQ books are kind of mostly being banned at this point?
The most recent stink about it actually started back in October when North Carolina, sadly my state, lieutenant governor, his name's Mark Robinson, decided he wanted to start calling some LGBT books filth, porn. Basically, if it involved non-heteroconformative things, especially when it was transgender related, it was pornographic and thus inappropriate for schools, period. And in all honesty, and if you're playing a home bingo game, he can go sit on a horse stick for as far as I'm concerned. Because it is insane. Like, I've looked at some of the books he was marking, and they mention sex. Oh my God. It just...
mind-boggling.
For the topics they're covering, especially like the coming out stories and all that, you can't cover them without talking about sex in some way. It's almost impossible. So the big ones he reflected on were Genderqueer, Lawn Boy, and George. And I had never heard of these 3, and they're all 3 in my Amazon cart right now to be bought because they look really interesting.
I think it's ridiculous when like governors or, state politicians all of a sudden decide to jump in and get involved. Where were they, 20 years ago when this was an issue? Why is this an issue now and it wasn't an issue then?
I know that a couple residents, like, if we look at the article that we're, like, referencing or whatever, residents complained about it, just basically saying, like, why do our kids have access to this obscenity in our libraries? And who is going to be held accountable for this? And honestly, to me, what happened is the kid checked out a book, they brought it home, and then the parents saw they're reading genderqueer. And then they start wondering, is my kid genderqueer and what does that mean?
It's not a bad thing.
No.
It's not.
But it's like when kids discover puberty,
Yeah.
they're gonna
it's
explore.
not a bad thing.
You know?
You know, the age in a young boy's life where nothing gets done for like 6 months.
I really, I want to go up to these parents and be like, what have I done to you physically or just personally? What have I done to you to be so offended that I am the bad guy? I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like a generalization all the way across the board. What have we actually done to an individual who's raising a stink about this that is so bad?
According to your family, sweetheart, it is being transgender is offensive to their worldview, and so I cannot exist.
Yeah, here you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Science. Interesting.
Science, bitches.
Science. It's just... It's true. It's totally true.
Yep.
Pharaoh's dad is a flat earther. And I'm just like, I want to like win a ticket for you to go like blast into like Jeff Bezos' rocket just so that we could prove a point. And that's it.
I found it won't prove anything.
No, because then they'll be like, well, I was drugged or, this is a conspiracy. So we'll never
All you can say is that they rode on a giant space dick.
It's the camera lens.
Space dick isn't on there. Isn't on
Okay, space cock. That's what I think because... No, wait. Yeah, cock is on there.
Yes. There's a lot of cock that's on there.
A lot of these guys have to clear a lot of cock off their internet histories when they have to erase it when their wives show up home.
It's so true, though.
It's on there.
So I want to say that a lot of like books that are being banned or making the news are usually coming from Republican-led states. Is that an accusation that's too loud, or do you think
so? What's interesting? Our governor is a Democrat. Our lieutenant governor is Republican because we vote on them separately. They are not on the same ticket.
Interesting. And I'm not saying that like all Republicans think this way and all Democrats think this way. It's just kind of like a general, like you see it like in these southern states. You see it in, like Texas, which is clearly all about, I want to hang a gun on the side of my hip and, be able to like, do what I want to do and not have, any responsibility.
Yeah, I get to do whatever I want to do, but if you go against what I believe, that ain't happening.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna fuck you up.
And I'd be like, okay, well, can you give me some ideas? Because I might be into this.
Yeah.
You
about broke Autumn.
I get shot straight up right there.
Yep.
I don't know. That one gay person in Texas would probably be like, yup.
Yup. I want to jump in on this.
I love how Texas always gets brought up, though. Like, every time it's Texas. And I'm like, I feel so sorry for Texas.
Because it's an easy target. Unfortunately, it's such an easy target to go for. We could talk about Arkansas, we could talk about Kansas, all these other places, but they're not as fun as Texas.
Yeah, but I'm sad to say that I'm really depressed in saying that North Carolina is one of the ones leading it too, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about some of the books that are being banned, just in general?
Okay.
You guys kind of really shine in this area, and I'm going to kind of just, stick to my Ultima magazine on this area. Over here. I'll just listen and pipe in when I want to.
Well, I almost shit an igloo when you mentioned, like, a Maya Angelou.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know why the cage bird sings.
Yeah, I almost shit an igloo when you said that.
Okay, so like I said, I don't read books, but the fact that one of Maya Angelou's books just got banned outright, I mean, Maya Angelou is a huge inspiration to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. It just seems really weird and kind of odd that this book would be just banned outright.
It's a poem.
It's a poem, but still, it's Maya Angelou. Mm-hmm. She's one of those humans one of those people I can say, if they write
really
something, it automatically, if they write something, it's automatically in.
Yeah.
period. If we discovered a lost book by Steve Rogers, it better be printed and it better be in a school library.
I don't know why. When you said Steve Rogers, I immediately thought of Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Isn't that his name?
Yes, it is.
Are you talking about Mr. Rogers?
I'm talking about Mr. Rogers.
Oh, I always say Mr. Rogers. I never say
if
Steve Rogers.
If Mr. Rogers, if we all of a sudden found a lost book by Mr. Rogers, you would, I don't think anybody would dare try to ban it. Someone would, but good luck. Not only is he honestly the purest human being ever to walk this planet, he is also Catholic or Baptist preacher? Catholic preacher.
I think.
No, he wouldn't be Catholic. They never had to move from church to church.
I swear, though, if a book by Mr. Rogers, though, ever got banned from a school or anything, I would flip my lid. I would become the worst gay Karen you could imagine. The worst nightmare.
Is that when we get to have you with completely blonde hair? You know, that like swoosh over blonde hair?
God, no. And then I'll rip off my wig and be like, ah! Totally Super Saiyan moment there.
You know what? If that were to happen, we just all need to gather up, all dye our hair a different color, but get blonde wigs.
Oh my God.
And we could be called the Gay Karen Army. So when we're ready to go, we rip the wigs off and it's rainbow
Karen
colored.
Brigade.
That's it, yeah.
If you ever just see like a Super Saiyan like light shoot up into the sky, all of a sudden you just be like, oh shit. Space is pissed. Just know that it's not someone else, it's me. Anyways, besides the point.
Yeah, but the books that I've seen that are getting banned, like the obvious ones, there's some old ones, like, Huckleberry Finn, all those have been banned for race reasons. But yeah, the LGBTQ, there's like
a lot of books. A lot of good books.
Yeah. When I was looking up the list of being reviewed, LGBTQ and anti-racist books that are being reviewed by book banners, one of them is called, where to go? Come on. Where is it? All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. It is an LGBTQ and a Black author. And I'm ordering this book as soon as I can because it's very interesting. It is a teacher's pick.
By Amazon.
It's a teacher's pick. It is a young adult, so it'd be high school. And if you go to the reviews, all the 1 and 2 stars, they'll just say it's porn because it mentions sex.
Wow.
And it's like you're talking about a person's coming of age story, and there are just some things you can't do. It needs to be talked about. But the problem is, as I repeat earlier, now parents have to talk about, hey, what are they talking about?
But will we talk about it?
Exactly.
Right.
Like, don't talk, like, what is it? Abstinence education. They don't talk about masturbating.
Oh.
And I'll tell you, there's 2 types of people in this world. Those that masturbate and those that lie about it.
I never understood. I get that concept, and it's kind of just, it's the same kind of a thing where parents get mad at, let's say the BDSM community, but then they're probably the ones that are doing it behind closed doors. So it's like, I don't get, this doesn't make sense. It's weird.
The highest population of people buying 50 Shades of Grey were housewives.
Yeah, because they were lonely.
And in all honesty, 50 Shades of Grey is the most amateur book if you're reading up on BDSM.
Yeah, I could give you a list of websites you should go to.
Yes.
But I'm not going to.
And you know what? All those list of websites that you would send them to teach them, I can do all of it.
Nice.
Hey, low.
Nice.
DL. Hey. Keep it on the DL.
Nah.
I was looking on the Amazon list that you had given us to look at, and I noticed that one of them, called George, is a Scholastic book fair, kind of like a Scholastic Gold book.
And it's one of the ones ready to be banned.
Yeah, I don't understand that because Scholastic, I'm sure, has their high standards, and they're everywhere. I remember going to Scholastic book fairs and always getting the ones that they would recommend. It seems a little odd that this would be banned, of all things.
I mean, honestly, it revolves around the opinions of the people. Like you said, this is one of the ones that is being targeted in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's about a boy named George, but she knows she's not a boy. She knows she's a girl, so it's trans. So that's against, we're primarily Baptist in this state.
Oh.
That goes against that. And that's most of what you find in the South is the religion plays a part in it's not who you are, it's now against God.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate.
Yes. And that's for some people. Some people are different. Like, I've met some religious people who accept trans because God made you who you are and you are different. But the majority that I know and are related to believe that way.
Why don't you guys talk about the books on the list and maybe some other books as well, and kind of just briefly summarize, if you know them, what they're about, so that our listeners can get an idea as to why these books are being banned by other bad people.
Not all of them are. I just went through and found like the top rated. And also when you go through the negatives, like if you hit the reviews and you go down to the 1 stars, every single one of them. One of them I put on there was Last Week Tonight, Life of Marlon Bundo.
I have that book.
It's just a funny ass cute book, and I couldn't
It really
resist.
is.
Yeah.
It's making fun of the actual book.
I know, and I don't own it yet, and I'm disappointed in myself as a human being.
Oh, it's such a good book.
But almost all the 1-star reviews talk about it being indoctrination or forcing children to read about being gay or insert any expletive that I don't want to say in there. God, I hate to say it this way. No, I don't. It's overly religious people that say, oh, you're indoctrinating my kids because it's different than what they're learning in church.
Yeah.
These are all books saying it's okay to be yourself. Not even it's okay to be gay. I need that on a t-shirt. There are probably t-shirts out there. I was about to say, you own one.
I do.
No. I actually have a t-shirt and I've just not had the guts to wear it that actually says Make America Gay Again. But I live in the South and I would get shot, so I don't wear it.
I have one that's from Brandon Rogers' channel and it just says, Move, I'm gay. I haven't worn it outside the house because I watched it once and it got short, but it's a funny shirt.
But all of these are essentially about learning about yourself.
Yeah.
And every one of them are getting flagged and just, it's like, oh, it's porn because it mentions sexuality, or it's mentioning these people having sex or talking about sex when they're under 18, but that's what they went through trying to figure all this out. And it's again that thing of people trying to basically, and I know this is another one on the bingo board, but them trying to basically make morality a law. These are my morals because God says that they are, and no one else can learn about these things.
There's a really good book in the list called Gender Identity Workbook for Teens, and it's a good book. It's gender identity. You know how hard it is to identify yourself, especially when you're a kid? Yep. It's hard. Kids are growing always, and so it's good for them to know that there's certain things that they can ask themselves and certain things that they can look and ask about. Because if they're not given that kind of, education, that right to explore, what kind of people are they going to turn into when they get older? You're going to get frustrated teens that, I'm not saying that this is the case, but I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't one of the cases. You're going to get a frustrated teen that comes to school one day, and then you're going to hear about it on the news. And I think you guys all know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't gotta tell me.
Yeah. But I interrupted you, Autumn.
I interrupted you technically, but yeah. So my whole thing, I've taught at a large county in North Carolina, a small southern county in North Carolina. That was the middle school. And then now I'm at a high school, like I said, in the larger county, but we're a charter. And what I find interesting is the openness that our kids have. So I think that how we have LGBT teachers. So I teach there. I'm now a lesbian married to a trans woman. We have another lesbian who works there because a lot of these kids met my husband 3 years ago when I started working there. I had one student literally go, I'm really glad that she found herself.
Yeah, most of these kids met me 3 years ago as a male. And I think only a handful of people have slipped up even the slightest.
Yeah. And that's where we have kids who change their names every other month. They go through pronoun shifts. Like, our school allows them to go through these changes and work through them, but we still have kids who have anxiety. It seems like coming to school. We have a student he's a 9th grader, and he showed up after being gone for like a month just because of anxiety of coming to school, and he was wearing a skirt and fishnets and looked cute. But as soon as he walked in the door, he told our front door person, our secretary, he was like, oh, I'm just trying something out. So it's that immediate, I have to justify. And that's where our school doesn't do that, but the outside world does.
It's that fear too of just, I mean, if we're holding back as adults and doing certain things in certain situations, can't imagine what a kid is thinking.
It has taken a lot for me to come out. And honestly, I'm on quarantine right now and not able to substitute like I usually do. And I miss the school. I do.
Killing her. It's killing me.
I love it there. The atmosphere is great. And as I said, I walk in and I'm me. That's it. Yes, I get called Miss by everybody. It's one of the safest places. that I can be out to anybody else if they have a problem. And I've told this to my doctor as well. It's that I don't suffer those people. I don't suffer cowards.
Yeah.
In all honesty, they can kiss my lady dick. So bingo
she
card.
Had to hit another bingo card.
Yep.
Well, and too,
so many good
teachers
options.
aren't, the problem is that charter schools, you can be a little more loose. I very much, when I was at the middle school in the small county, I mean, religious, we were in the South, I had Totoro, like I had anime stuff all in my room. I had video game billboards, or what are those things called?
Poster boards?
The bulletin
Posters?
boards. That's
Bulletin
it. Yeah,
boards.
posters. Yeah, bulletin boards. Yeah. Oh, I made a whole bulletin board look like a Pac-Man board.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was just, I was so diverse with that. And then at like my high school now, I don't have to do that because it's accepted. And not saying that like I had to act out, but I wanted to show my elementary and middle schoolers what it was like to be a 25-year-old nerd, that you could still be a nerd. You could still do this. And I've always been age appropriate, honest with my kids. And that is where I think teachers need to start moving. And that's what these books are trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to be age appropriate, honest. And that's what we need.
Well, even in the flip side, when I was doing my internship last semester, I was at a public school. I walked in, head held high. It's like, y'all want to say something, bring it.
Yeah.
Because I'm also a huge fan of this person. But the lead singer of the band, Axis of Awesome, Jordan, she's trans. And she made the comment one time on her live stream that not everybody can be out and loud. She can. Well, no, she can. And that's why she's doing it. I'm the same way. I have nothing to lose. Bring it on. All you can do is try to hurt my feelings. I've said worse to myself. Try me.
I've been getting a lot of emails to the Talk to the Muzzle account. A lot of these kids are coming out and they're now saying like, I'm different. I'm not sure who I am yet, but I try to express it. And my friends will say certain things. And I'm like, well, they're not your friends if they're not by your side. And that has been a proven fact, no matter how old you are. And I've always told at the end of my emails, I always say, embrace who you are. Never be ashamed of that. It is important to recognize you are who you are. You are unique and you're special, and you should be okay with that. But I also have to say, unfortunately, if you're under a certain age, and you're still living in your parents' house, unfortunately, sometimes you still have to follow the rules of what your parents want you to follow. Mm-hmm. And that's hard to say back into an email because I really want to encourage these kids, but I also don't want to, step on thin ice.
And so that's something that as a teacher, we have to navigate.
It's really hard.
It is very hard. So we have students who want to go by a different name, but their parents don't know that, or they don't accept that, or they want to try out this pronoun. So it's always like before meetings, sometimes we have to have that conversation of, do their parents know? Before I send this email, what name do I use? What's really cool though, in North Carolina, Power School, which is where the grades are handled, now has a preferred name section. So we have a name change form. So legally, your name might be John Smith, but you want to be called Susie Smith. So in Power School, it will say Susie Smith.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
It is such a win. Like when they added it, it was such a win for our kids because the thing is everything else, their email, Google Classroom, everything shows Susie Smith, but Power School still showed John Smith.
That's cool.
My college does the same thing. Everything unofficial has my name on it. Everything that's like official has my dead name on it. But the dead name stuff is the legal stuff that has to have it. Financial aid, transcript, stuff like that. But my email and everything shows my name. Everything I post in class shows my name. And it's definitely a big help.
It's interesting. You'll get there one day. You'll get there.
Yeah. It is legal. That is the thing. They are legal documents, so you have to be consistent. They have to be searchable. So
and also, you
I
can
understand
only do it so many times. So we have kids who go through names you go through a favorite food sometimes. It's ridiculous. And so you legally can't do it, but like 3 times?
I think, it's 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Except for, marriage and last names. That's a whole other kettle of fish.
So with all these books, and these are great books that kids should have access to, you would think the one place that would be safe would be school because, once they go out, they're with parents, they can't really get certain things. But school is supposed to be a safe area where kids can go and be themselves, even if that means that being at home isn't being themselves. They can go to school and have that confidence. Mm-hmm. That's what I've heard a lot in a lot of articles and a lot of podcasts. And it's a good thing to hear. What's saddening is that a lot of these books, while some of them are just, books where it's talking about how Sally loves, Susan in this particular case. And it's a cute, fun book and it's good to read. But there's other really good books up there that help kids, navigate and figure out who they are as a person. But if those books are taken out, there's no resource for these kids to go and use.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of resources for, regular kids out there, that, muscle build or go on the sports team. But there are other kids out there that want to explore other things, and those resources are being pulled from them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really sad because, like I said, kids are always growing and they should have the right to explore. Now, within a certain range. Now,
yes.
Autumn, did you already talk about that? How kids, I think we talked about it maybe earlier or maybe not, because I have short-term memory apparently now, where, if a kid wants to get an older book, they can't. They have to be in a certain grade.
Yeah, so elementary...
Did we already talk about that, or was that
we did a little bit.
Okay.
It's mainly for middle school, because middle school is that weird thing where, like I said, my middle school was 5th and 6th, 7th and 8th. And because they didn't plan for enough classrooms for 5th grade at the elementary school, they had to throw the 5th graders with the middle schoolers. So it was very interesting. But most of the time, YAs are for high school, 8th grade, 7th grade, depending on age. And then elementary school is all of your chapter books, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even there was some that Ruby added to this list it's a kid's book. It's an elementary school book that talks about accepting a transgender sibling.
Yeah.
I'm that's really cool.
That's really neat.
Oh, the Jack Not Jackie? Where's over here?
Hold on.
Because I know Jack Not Jackie was very highly recommended.
My Awesome Brother.
That too.
My Awesome Brother.
Yeah, so it's My Awesome Brother.
I love the artwork on the book.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It has a trans flag. So it's a person riding on a bike with the trans flag behind it. It's by Lise Francis. Hopefully I didn't butcher the name too much.
Lise could be, because it's got that weird
It's got the E on the
hyphen. Yeah.
What's that? A hyphen? I don't see the hyphen.
It's on the book, not the title.
We'll say L.
yes.
Francis. How's that work?
That works.
There we go.
That usually works.
So I can't find a specific article about this. So you talked about school being a safe place. And in some places, they have discussed having teachers report to the parents if there are any gender abnormalities, like a girl acting like a boy.
Are non-heteroconformative, or
basically non-heteroconformative things. I can't find the specific, I don't know if it was North Carolina where it was talked about,
it was.
And so that's where school is supposed to be a safe place.
I wiped that from my head, thank you.
Yeah, and in the moment, and as a teacher, I was like, I don't care. I will go back to a county, and if you tell me I have to do that, you might as well fire me. I'm done.
Interesting reviews about this particular book. My brother, what was it called again?
My Awesome Brother.
My Awesome Brother. So I looked in the 1-star reviews because I was just seeing, I wonder if there was any this is bad for my kids. No, it's really interesting. There's a 1-star review in there that says this is an important issue to teach to children about, but this book is written with the artistry of a sledgehammer. I don't recommend. Another person said this is a really dreadful book. I'm lesbian. I bought this book for my non-binary transgender 7-year-old child who was trying to figure out their gender identity. But this is completely child-led. It just talks about how a trans brother is accepted, but there's no journey, no discovery whatsoever. So I guess to each person, it depends on what you want to take from it. I think this is a cute book for a kid. If you want to teach your kid about a journey, maybe this is not the book for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is that of you have to simplify it down to its most basic.
Yeah.
You really can't do the more complex things because their maturity has to catch up with
Exactly.
it.
Let's go on to a really interesting topic. So we have these books being banned left and right, whether they're LGBTQ, whether they're, from Black authors or Asian authors or whoever writes them. It's the interesting fact that there are books in the library that completely should not be there for kids. And yet they're okay to read. Well, they're still okay, I think. But it's just ironic that they would call out and say there's sexual content, mature content, violence in these LGBTQ books. But then we look at these other books that are totally within kids' grasps and we wonder, is there a double standard? I think so. So let's go over those. Let's go over these because there's a lot of fun reference.
I'm going to leave the first one open until the end because, oh my God, I love it. But
yeah, go for it.
Well, like when you asked me to come up with these, the first three that popped in my head, which are on this list, were the Harry Potter, the Hunger Games, and the Twilight series.
Of course, yeah.
Harry Potter, literally every book has a kid starting at, how old was he in Sorcerer's Stone?
11.
An 11-year-old all the way up to, 17?
He was 18.
18?
Yeah.
Putting his life in not just some danger, but mortal danger at all times. Now, yes, this is a bad one, and I'm pretty sure someone is yelling at their streaming service of choice, saying that it has been attempted to be banned more than probably any book you can imagine, because, witchcraft.
But that
sorcery.
was the reason. It wasn't about the kids being in danger.
It was morality.
It was about witchcraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, someone went back and rewrote it, and I need to re-find it.
Yes, they took out all the magic.
They took out all the magic and made it all God. I have the link somewhere.
I would love to read that just to see how bad it is.
If we had a camera on me, I'm flailing. Like, I'm over here no, don't make me think about it.
The Hunger Games, quite literally, is a game where children are put into a life or death
it's death.
Battle by the government.
And they slaughter each other.
Yeah.
There's, in fact, oh man.
It's Squid Games before Squid Games.
It's to keep the divisions in line. I cannot remember what the sectors are called, dang it.
I'm not going to lie. The different districts. I'm not going to lie when I say in the first movie, I actually cried when she made a bed, like a grave bed for the girl, the little girl that was killed.
The book is so much, I wish you could read the book, or you need to listen to it. The book scene is so much better with, dang it, what's her name? I really love Hunger Games. Like, that's the thing. But I read it as a high schooler.
Yeah.
Like, it's a YA book, technically. Yeah, but, like, middle schoolers can get their hands on it. And it's a little...
And, like, Twilight, where you literally have a high school girl getting pursued and essentially, and I think, basically hunted
it's
by a multiple 100-year-old guy. Yeah. I don't care what he looks like. I don't care when he was turned. He is multiple 100 years old.
He glitters.
Not to mention, what's his face that, rips off his shirt and becomes like this super sexy looking guy. Okay, that's allowed.
At least he's her age.
True.
Okay, but let's not go in. Okay, now let's go into the fourth book. Let's go into the fourth book.
I have read past the first paragraph.
Where he imprints on her daughter.
Yeah, there's that.
Where Jacob imprints on her half human or all human.
She's all vampire. She's basically all vampire. I think she's all vampire. I don't.
No, she's not all vampire. She's half human, half vampire. I read the books, darn it.
I've read the books for a really long time, and I read like one or two of them, and then I'm just like, I can't. I just can't. I'll watch maybe like one movie, but I just can't do it.
That's the problem. Yeah. I liked them as a teen, and then as an adult, I'm like, that is such bad relationships.
I know. It's totally bad.
But yeah, there's literally that's in there. So you can't say anything against that. And again, and not to mention that Twilight is the base story for 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, pretty much. One on here I just now thought of, and I wonder, are there any Star Wars fiction books?
Quite a few.
Yes.
Okay. Those
Actually,
can
Star Wars is a whole series.
Yeah. Well, Star Wars in itself, if you ever oh my gosh, one time I went into the city library to look for a Star Wars book, and there was a whole 2 aisles dedicated to random authors I've never heard of, but they're all these Star Wars books. And I'm like,
yep,
I don't even know where to start here. I guess maybe I just want a picture book. That's what I got. I got a picture book, but there's a lot of violence in those.
Well, so I read them from an extremely young age. This is not shocking because of my taste in things.
Yeah.
But the Goosebumps series, at the very least, they're elementary. And yes, they're not extremely gory, they're designed to fuck with you.
They are.
Yeah, they are. They are.
And by the way, Goosebumps I just realized that was a bingo card. But Stein wrote them to basically, they're the intro to Stephen King.
Oh my God. I haven't even made that connection until now.
They basically are. R.L. Stein is Stephen King minus the drugs.
Stephen King light.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Take Stephen King, remove the cocaine, and you got R.L. Stein.
Oh my God. That's like my mind is just like, I don't know.
But it's the truth. They're not gruesome, but you have A Day at Horrorland where there's literally demons going to consume an entire family.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Night of the Living Dummy 2. where there's literally a possessed doll trying to kill their owners.
Now I have to say we have to think about when this was written, because one of the books we have on this list that has like violent sexual content and stuff like that that's not been banned is 1984. And when I was in high school, I read that in high school. Now that's a college level book. They have restructured it to it be college level. So I think if like R.L. Stein was writing those now, they wouldn't be elementary anymore.
Well, I mean, the funny part is 1984 is allowed, but Animal Farm isn't.
Yeah, that is true.
Don't get me wrong, Animal Farm is, in my opinion, far gruesomer than 1984, but it's told from the point of view of cute animals. Everything's better with cute animals.
It really is.
Yeah.
That's why they made... What was it?
Watership Down.
Oh, I was going to say the Happy Friends or whatever.
Oh, Happy Tree Pals.
I love that. That is like... it's one of those like, what do you call it? Guilty pleasures.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's amazing. I love it. Maze Runner you put on here is another good one.
Yeah, so Maze Runner is similar to Hunger Games. I mean, I don't know the full synopsis, but I know that it's basically teenagers running in a deadly maze.
Yeah.
And so I think if they get out, they win something.
You're about to hear clicky clicky because I'm going to look something up.
I'm looking at it.
Well, and then there's a whole series too. And if you watch one, maybe you got to finish watching all of them.
Yeah.
One I've never heard of. What is Night?
So Night is by
Elie Wiesel.
Elie Wiesel.
N-I-G-H-T, not the other one.
Yes, N-I-G-H-T. Basically, it's his memoir of the Holocaust. So he is a Holocaust survivor, and he recounts his time from the ghetto through Buchenwald, through Auschwitz, and being liberated.
Incredible read.
It's amazing. It's a very good book. Our freshmen read that. And so what's very interesting is that from last year to this year, it got moved from freshman to sophomore year. And so now my current sophomores aren't going to read it. Or no, it was sophomore. No, that's what. Never. I flipped it. Sorry. It was sophomore, and now they moved it to freshman, which I'm like, I don't understand. That. Yeah, because to me, I read it as a freshman. So I'm like, I could see that. But our sophomores really handled it better. And so now our current sophomores won't get to read it. And I'm like, you need to read this. Keep poking them.
How's the school rating work or grading in your school work? Is it freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or do you skip it? Okay.
No, we have freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Yeah, so we have like English really 1, freshman, English 2, sophomore. Yeah.
Okay. In California, it goes K through 8th grade. No, K through 6. 7 and 8 is junior or middle school. And then 8, 9, 10. Is it 8, 9, 10? No, let me think about this. God, it's been so long. It's so weird how it works. K through 6. Right? And then there's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so yeah. But here in Utah, it's different. It is K through 5th, and then it's 6, 7, and 8, and then it's 9, 10, 11, 12.
That's how we are.
And it just doesn't make sense. I'm like, can't it just all be uniform across the board, please? And they do trimesters here too, which is, so
They
frustrating.
tried that, Space. That's called Common Core. And no one liked it. That's a whole other podcast.
Oh yeah, heads up, Lord of the Rings is 12 years old and up. The Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yes.
Because that thing is violent as fuck. I was surprised when Lord of the Rings came out, it wasn't rated R.
Yep.
Technically, there is no like
repeatable violence.
Yeah, and it's more or less like, sci-fi and all that kind of stuff, or fantasy. Yeah. But still, there's a lot of violence in there.
Yes.
I can't be an elk and go kill a dwarf or something. No, yes you can.
Yes, but if you recall, Dungeons and Dragons have taken heat since day one. So there's kind of if you wanted to go with like the double standard on it, Lord of the Rings, okay, Dungeons and Dragons,
not okay.
And Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, yada yada yada. I love watching the things about people going, well, this is Satanism.
How?
Yay. Oh, that's another. That's
I know.
One of the podcasts.
God, Romeo and Juliet. I mean, love by suicide, right?
Yeah, worst love story ever created.
Which our kids always freak out about when we read it because they're like, oh my God, she's 12 and he's 16. And I'm like, okay, think about it. You only live till 30. And people forget that happened over the course of a weekend.
Yeah.
Met on Friday, dead by Sunday.
No. Men live till 30. Women survive until death by childbirth.
That is true.
We got Macbeth on there. That's another one. Not necessarily totally violent. It's just there's some violent acts in there.
Yeah.
Whew.
We left Oedipus off of this.
I couldn't remember how to spell it.
And you don't ask the person who read it? Like, I know.
All right, let's talk about it. Oedipus.
Oh,
Go for it,
Oedipus. the classic tale of avoiding your fate and sleeping with your mother and having kids with her. I mean,
So
it's
Tuesday
it's
in West
Greek,
Virginia.
Yeah, right. Tuesday in West Virginia. Oh, that was the constant. Those were the jokes running through the school. It was funny.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, so it's a Greek play, and Greek plays are all about don't avoid the gods. And so
Right.
Oedipus tries to avoid his fate of killing his father and sleeping with his mother. So he runs away from his home, cough, cough, bunny ears. And then he ends up killing some random person on the road and becoming the king of Thebes. And his father, the king of Thebes, cough, cough, who he killed, sent him, basically cut his ankles as a child so he would die in the hills. Like he would get eaten by animals.
Yeah.
And so it's like basically because they try to avoid their fate, it just happened. But there is incest. Yeah.
You also got to think about like King Arthur, those books and stuff, and those tales.
Ooh,
Those are interesting.
I love them. What did they, Arthur?
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's an interesting one. I was surprised you put that on there.
So I've heard this constantly from one of my seniors. She was like, why are we reading this? It has incest in it. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, I read that book. It doesn't. It's his non-biological but raised together sister. That's the love interest. So, yeah, so he's attracted to his sister, but they're not related by blood.
Yeah.
But they were raised together as siblings. But yeah,
It
was so funny.
Flirts on that line.
She was on it. She was like, this has incest. And I was like, calm.
Gosh, and if we were going to talk about like going back on the Greek stuff, there are a lot of Greek things that are just like, for instance, the sirens. Okay, let's just think about this. We're teaching kids, about this in Greek mythology. That you got these. I'm going to go ahead and say they're whores on the island, and they're calling for young men and other men to come and visit them on the island. Of course, they die. But like, it's seduction.
I can sum up every single one of those stories.
The sirens are literally like I call them streetwalkers. They're just, prostitutes on the street. That's what they are. Modern day prostitutes. But you don't survive.
I can sum up every Greek story in just one line. And then Zeus got horny. That sums them all up. I think almost every one of them sums up to that. But the one on the list I skipped, and I gotta tell you, as an atheist, if this ever came up, I'm so using it. The Bible is in school libraries.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. And you know what? Perfectly fine with that, because it is religious freedom. You can have it. Fine. But if you want to talk about, if you're going to ban books because of sexual content, violence, immorality, death,
the Bible is like the keystone.
Oh, yeah. Bible is like the perfect example of how to do things.
Yeah.
So,
and it's super religious. And that's just, aren't we supposed to keep religion out of?
Probably the only reason that no one bitched about that one is because no one's actually ever read it.
This is what religion should be. Religion should only stay in the home. It is taught by parents, and that is it. Should never enter school whatsoever.
Nope.
No, it has no place there.
Technically, it doesn't. So that's the funny thing. Technically, it doesn't. So I taught 6th grade social study, and that was the hardest thing for me because it's world history. So you're talking about Mesopotamia, Egyptian.
Is it though? The question is how accurate is the Bible actually, though?
Oh, I have no idea.
If we think about it, if we're thinking of the Bible as a history book, well, then why isn't any other book that's fiction out there also a history book?
The Bible has equal parts historical fact and pizza in it.
See, I didn't teach the Bible with the 6th grade. Like, 6th grade is when you talk about the different religions, like Egyptian and stuff like that. And so it was really interesting where I was teaching majority Southern Baptists who were like, wait, multiple gods? And I'm like, yeah, this is how they believed. Instead of one all-encompassing being, this is it. I don't know how other teachers taught it, but again, I'm age-appropriately honest with my kids. Age-appropriately honest.
I got it.
Like I'm slurring.
Oh my God, I'm rubbing off on you.
I know.
Oh, it happens.
Yeah, but like the Bible's there, but yeah, so for the most part, religion is kept out of schools when you teach it. Now, like from a teacher perspective, teaching in the South, we kind of prayed sometimes before staff meals, which was interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I always took it as a good excuse while everybody's not paying attention. I can get closer in line.
Yeah.
So those are kind of like just a short list. I'm sure anyone listening could think of a lot of books that, raise controversy, but no one talks about them.
Nope.
What about books that are banned or formerly banned? Like moss.
Mouse. I
Mouse?
put
Thank
that
you.
one on there. It is still banned, but it is I guess the
novel.
best combination is it is a graphic novel, but I think it falls into the same category as Animal Farm and Watership Down, which Watership Down is a kid's book as far as I know.
A graphic one.
Never said it wasn't. But it
Jeez.
covers the Holocaust from the point of view of mice living in a world where I think controlled by cats. And it looks very interesting and it's graphic. Guess what? The event it's covering is graphic. If you go back and read Night, it's pretty damn graphic.
Yeah.
Because the event that it's talking about is really fucking graphic.
Yeah, that's one thing. Eli Wiesel does not mince his words.
No.
His purpose behind writing it was so that the event would not be repeated.
So, if you're banning stuff for the reasons, like, I cannot stand, you could ask Autumn, I cannot stand the Netflix series that was spawned from this.
What was it?
The book 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, I've never
like
seen
it.
it.
It's about suicide. It's not that I have a problem with the topic. It's hard for me to
So 13
cover
Reasons
anything,
Why. I've watched the Netflix series. I didn't watch season 2, or haven't finished it all the way. Basically, it's a girl who commits suicide, and she leaves 13 tapes. And those are her 13 reasons why she did this. And it tracks the level of the kids being mean. So her being ostracized, kids saying she's a slut, basically the bullying that occurred that basically led her to be so far separated from everyone else that she felt like this was the only option. I love it because that is something that I've seen. Like, currently we have a kid who's kind of going through that, where they're being ostracized at our school, which makes no damn sense to me, because who ostracizes us? Like, what?
It's weird.
I really like it though, but it is a topic, and Ruby doesn't even like Dear Evan Hansen, like the play.
I know the play, and then I know that it came out in a movie, and all my
Don't
friends
watch
were
the
like,
movie.
"You should go watch it," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, it's a sensitive topic, and I don't want to watch something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't."
But 13 Reasons Why is banned in schools because it bases around suicide. When in reality, that is one of the most needed books because kids
That's what a
need
lot
to
of kids go
fucking
through.
know about it.
But there was a book I read in middle school about cutting.
Mhm.
I cannot remember the name of it. Oh my goodness. But I read a book because the cover looked interesting, and it was about a girl who cut and her going through therapy for it.
Is it no, it's not to right level on our.
No, that's a different thing.
That's an organization. Yeah.
That's an organization.
But
Right Love on Our Arms is-
it falls under that category of, what is it? There's one, a lot of the reviews on the LGBTQ books are basically, my kids are reading about it, so thus they're going to become that.
Yeah.
So the logic is
No.
with 13 Reasons is, my kids are going to read about this, so they're going to think about committing suicide now.
And there's actually
Same with
yeah.
before, my kid plays Doom, so they're going to go shoot up a school.
That's kind of a open topic there.
Oh, yeah.
Because
That's
that
one that
could
I could
really
do a
go
whole
either
thing.
way.
So I found the book. It's called Cut by Patricia McCormick.
It's funny because I would have just not knowing what it was, and by the last name McCormick, I would have been like, "Oh, is this about like cooking and spices?"
Mm-hmm.
13 Reasons, I think, is one of the, what's actually me saying, parents don't want to deal with a topic, so they just go, no.
Yeah.
And what's really nice, so I want to put like kind of a silver lining on it in a way. We went through a lovely, I mean that in all sarcasm, mental health training, where it's how to be like mental first aiders with teenagers and high schoolers. And one of the things is there's that connotation, like Ruby said, is if we talk about suicide, they're going to commit it, or they're going to do it. If we talk about this, it's going to happen. And that was what I love they said in the training. The one part of it that I liked was, that's not true. We need to talk about this. And that's what I love, is it's talking about it, because that should be done at school. Because where else are you going to do it unless you do it at your house? And most of the time, that ain't going to happen, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's go to this next. I was about to get.
I say, so with all that being said, like, this is something that just generally happens regardless, whether it's relating to LGBTQ books or, books that are, written by, Black authors, or whether it's, a toy from a shelf that got yanked because someone thought it looked like a penis. This is what happens when all of a sudden something is pulled from the shelf. People want it. It's a lust. It's an instinct that people just have to have. And so when it comes to banning books, if you ban a book, let's say just like a general LGBTQ book, what was one of them? George. If
George.
you ban George from the library, then what's going to happen is kids are going to start looking it up online. They're going to start researching, trying to figure out what it is. Where can they get it? Where can they buy it? They're buying it because it's not available anymore. And now they're learning about all this controversy that's going on. Maybe controversy you didn't want your kids to know about. And so by doing that, you're kind of creating this firestorm of just constant spending or things that kids go after. And the problem with that is that while it helps boost the book's interest in the public eye, and it also makes money for the author, it's doing it in a very misleading and unfortunate way. It's now making the book not be what the book was supposed to be about. It's not becoming a learning tool, something that a kid can look into. It's now becoming, I have to read this because it's a hot, trendy topic. And that's something that's really unfortunate. And this happens all the time in different aspects of life. Like you said that there was something called video nasties.
The video nasties list, yes.
What is that?
That is I believe originally a Great Britain, kind of similar to the LGBTQ books. In Great Britain, one of the people in, I guess, political environment there decided that horror movies were causing people to be violent and they were morally wrong, basically. So they created the video nasties list, which are, I think it ended up being 13 videos by the end of it that were illegal to own and watch.
Yeah.
One of them being the Evil Dead series.
I think Cannibal Holocaust is on that.
Cannibal Holocaust.
And there's some on there that are like, Cannibal Holocaust is graphic as hell.
But it's your right to watch it. It's actually a really good movie if you can stand it, trust me. But like Evil Dead is on there.
What?
Yeah. The Evil Dead series is on there for being too graphic and gory.
Okay, weird. I can think of a dozen videos and movies that, that are probably worse. Prohibition. Talk about prohibition.
I don't remember if we said it, but yeah, these fall under, if you ban it, people want it.
Yeah.
So you ban alcohol. It's the 18th Amendment. If we have any non-American listeners, I hope we do. But the Prohibition Amendment 18 banned alcohol.
Yeah.
Do you think people stopped drinking alcohol?
Hell no. It just become more popular.
That's how you get NASCAR. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I wrote an entire paper on that one.
That's so funny.
Prohibition and shine running led to NASCAR because
That's
it went from we're going to build a car that can outrun the cops to my car is faster, so...
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's nifty.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It all went underground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, like the video nasties list, you're watching them underground. It's now secretive. And so kind of going back to what you were saying, Space, if we ban these books, then now it's all underground. So now the kids are going to hide reading them. Oh my God, I can't let my parents see. I can't let this person see. And so instead of talking about it, it's now we're being shunned. We're in the dark.
And it's kind of like, at this point, here's the question you should be really asking yourself, whether you're a kid or a parent that's listening. If you're confused that your child brought home a book and you're wondering, oh my God, is my child going to turn into this? Wouldn't you be more confused if your child brought home a book that you put up a stink about that was banned and now they're hiding it from you? Wouldn't you rather have them just be like, I got this book, and you're just like, huh. I mean, I don't know what's worse, like if my child came home and I'm like, wait, you're reading this book? I don't think that's appropriate. To my child coming home and hiding a book in his backpack and reading it, not knowing what it is, but knowing that it could probably be something potentially worse, and that's something else.
I mean, back in, actually it was freshman year of college, if you've ever heard of it, it's by the author Kelly Armstrong, Women of the Other World series. I've read every book 100 times. Not even kidding. It's a werewolf romance novel.
Oh, I know you like werewolves.
Very good.
And
but
it's
the
kind of 18 plus, because there's some steamy scenes.
The third
I
third and fourth book are called Industrial Magic and Dime Store Magic. Those are on my bookshelf when I was home from college. My mother flipped her shit saying I was having books on witchcraft.
Oh my God.
I'm like, Mom, she wouldn't even let me finish.
The Bible is witchcraft. Come on.
And the other thing is, I've purchased her the book. I've purchased the book Bitten, which is the first book in the series, for her to read.
Yeah.
She's got to read it. But she jumped on the train to read Twilight, and she thought it was one of the best books she's ever read.
Oh my God. Seriously?
It was the Twilight series. My mother has read the entirety of the Twilight series twice, but she will not read Bitten.
That's
I fill in the grammatical
double
errors.
standards.
That's the problem.
But yeah, my mom flipped out when we said we weren't saying the Lord's Prayer at our wedding. That took some tricky shit to get out of that.
Oh God, that was horrible.
But yeah, and the thing is, you have to ask yourself, it's probably easy to answer which one parents would rather have. Do you want the kids to come home with a book that you go, should they? And you read it and discuss it with your kids? Or would you rather them just sneak it, and when you find it under their bed, you get to yell at them because you said no and you don't have to discuss a thing?
Interesting.
It comes back to, I don't want to parent.
You're going to force a conversation either way.
I want to create a crotch goblin and not be involved in anything.
I was going to take a drink of water, but I can't. Not after crotch goblins. I've got crotch goblins? Oh, God.
Crotch goblins.
I've got crotch goblins.
But
a book about STDs. No.
Oh, God.
Book about unwanted
Well, I mean,
pregnancies.
come on. We all know that crotch goblins are at least an 18-year STD at best.
Oof.
Yes, I went there. But it's like there's a list of video games that are banned after events in the world. Their sales went up. Grand Theft Auto, Doom, Quake.
And Grand Theft Auto, folks, you're not going to want to break into a store by, playing a game of Grand Theft Auto. You're going to learn that on the streets. You're going to learn that from influences that you probably shouldn't be around. That's where you learn that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The game was basically based off of that kind of stuff.
I go play these games because I can't do this in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's so stupid. It drives me completely insane because you're banning all these and you're either telling these kids that being like this is wrong and offensive. You make it so that they are too afraid to talk about it because obviously it's wrong.
Right.
Or you're making them do it behind this is the best way to say it. You're making them do it in the closet where they might not be getting the best information and putting their lives at risk because the friend they met online tells them everything they want to know and, their friend isn't the same age as them.
Yep.
And then the parents get to go, well, see, that's being gay is bad because see what happened? It's like, no, because you're a shit parent. I mean, even coming out to my own mother, I had to leave clues for her because God forbid I actually outright came out to her.
There were no clues that needed to be led for my mom. It's pretty obvious.
My mother outright said to me she would have rather me had said I was gay because she knew how to handle that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
And I will tell you, that is the best case scenario.
It was the best case scenario. I mean, this is the woman who looked at her and when she said, you were in your early 20s? Teens?
Yeah, 1920.
And basically said, hey, I've kind of contemplated suicide. And she went, how dare you say that and make me feel like a horrible mother?
Wow, that's even worse.
So yeah, when I say that I'm quite passionate about this, I'm not kidding.
Yeah. So to kind of bring this episode to an end, but kind of summarize over certain things, it's interesting that LGBTQ books are in the spotlight once again. They always have been, but they're more prominent now because of a lot of movements that are going on. It's weird to say this, that it's both a good and a bad thing that we're being launched into the spotlight again. Mm-hmm. It's bad because we're taking away resources for kids that may actually need these resources or just more diverse books for them to read other than the standard stuff that they already have. But it's good because it gives us a chance to educate the public. And if there's anything we need to do more, it's educate the public more about the community. Mm-hmm. I feel like if we have more outreach programs and we have more, being more involved with everything, there's a better chance for things like this to not happen in the future. I'm sure there will always be books that are banned and they'll be for ridiculous reasons. But if we can do the education and helping our community understand, and sometimes there's really nothing you can do. Sometimes you are going to have a situation where Ruby's mom pretty much did what she did. And you're going to have that and there's nothing that you can really do about it. But as long as there's a path that we can always educate, there's a good chance we can reduce this happening in the future. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important. I want to thank Autumn for coming on and, talking as well.
You're welcome. I'm getting the yay. No, I love it. That was the funny thing is Ruby's like, we're doing this topic. And she's asking me questions about books and all this other stuff. And I'm like, why don't you bring me on?
Yeah. And then I literally tell Ruby, I'm like, we should have Autumn on as a guest as well. Cause this is perfect. Cause you guys are both teachers.
She'll be doing commentating anyway. So
yeah.
I do. I commentate for the background because she records in the same room as me.
And it works.
It works
just perfectly. Yeah, this is a great topic and there's probably more side tangents than we should have had. But, I think it's overall, a good listen. But if any of you guys have any questions about LGBTQ books that are in your library or things that are being banned, you're kind of curious and not quite sure if it's a book that's okay to read or not, send us an email. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know your situation at your school. And I'd be more than happy to pass on emails to Autumn and Ruby as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And this is just because I love the organization. If you need information about LGBTQ and you're younger, thetrevorproject.org.
I love the Trevor Project.
I swear by it. And yeah, just that is the best place in the universe to start if you need help.
It really is.
So
I've always wanted to volunteer at the Trevor Project, and I'm not sure if they have a center here in Salt Lake, but if they do, and I find out, I'm going to volunteer because I've always wanted to help in that specific sector. We've all been there.
Oh, yes.
So who better else to give, a little bit of advice or counseling than those who've experienced it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a plug for Trevor, the Trevor Project, but I think that always comes up in an LGBTQ plus episode is the Trevor Project.
Hashtag not sponsored.
It's a good, it's a good overall starting location. So
absolutely. Anyways, thanks for everyone for listening. You know how to reach us. Email us at Talk to the Muzzle. Find us on Twitter on From the Muzzle, or click on the link below to join our Telegram group. Other than that, thank you, Autumn, for participating. Ruby, thank you for being available, even though it was in the most odd way.
Welcome.
I'm stuck at home right now. I can record 10 episodes if you needed it to.
Sweet. That might actually come up. So,
damn
it. Bummer. He's actually going to take me to it.
I'm stuck at home until the 14th.
That sucks.
I'm stuck at home till the 21st.
It's been 12 days. My kids are like, yay, and I'm like, I miss you, and they're like, we miss you, and I'm like, I know.
This whole thing sucks.
Okay, yeah.
I know. I wish COVID was done. I'm so done.
It's never going to be done.
It's not.
Anyways, folks, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.